Welcome to the Big O Show on the Overreaction Sports Network, powered by Believe.
Still the same damn kid from Oklahoma, same old dreams hanging off my shoulders, wishing and waiting on a shooting star for all to see.
And now your host, straight out of Oklahoma, former Buffalo Bill, Jerry Ostroski.
I'm still the same damn kid from Oklahoma.
What is going on, everybody? I am the Big O Jerry Ostroski. It is now time once again for the Big O Show on the Overreaction Buffalo Sports Network, presented by FanDuel. And we got a few things to talk about tonight, but as always, folks, hit the like, hit the subscribe. We appreciate you tuning in and watching the show. We're here Wednesday nights every week at 8 Eastern, 7 Central Time. And these 8 words say it all. We paid now, so let's go play football. James Cook this morning, and there's no reason to beat around the bush. We're going to get right into it. We got a lot of information to bring to you tonight. We got a lot of contract details, quotes from Brandon Beane, and just kind of comparisons with other running backs in the league. And then also the most important thing, the cap hit for this James Cook extension that he signed this morning in Buffalo at One Bills Drive. Obviously, Beane said that we will not get anything done until James Cook practices. James Cook returns to practice, and a deal gets done the next morning. But as you know, the Bills rewarded James Cook with a $30 million guaranteed contract, which is the most guaranteed money on a running back contract in the last 5 years, per Adam Schefter. And before we get into the exact numbers, Cook's deal, when you look at how his deal fits in with the Buffalo Bills, Cook's deal is worth 4.3% of the salary cap and the third highest amount guaranteed amongst running backs in the league, per Joe Marino of Locked On Bills and also my partner on the Bill Squad show. If you look at Cook's production, and this is something that's been going on since the offseason, as we know. James Cook comes out, says he wants $15 million a year. Most Bills fans, most people connected to the Buffalo Bills, people that understand the salary cap, those types of things, you know, understood maybe $10 to $12 million was probably the range for James Cook. And obviously the Kyren Williams signing with the Rams for an $11 million average over 3 years is kind of the contract that got this thing going. As we know that most teams will not negotiate against themselves, and the Buffalo Bills are no different. Once that Williams deal got signed for $11 million average, that kind of opened the door, opened the gates for the Cook deal. When you look at James Cook, his production, Cook was on the field, obviously, for only 48% of the offensive snaps in 16 games played last season, was a big point of contention amongst Bills fans and probably also the Buffalo Bills. But I agree with Brandon Beane in this sense. And Beane has let it be known. He's like, look, you know, running backs are important. As much as people have tried to devalue the running back, as much as people have tried to say that you can just go get anybody, he doesn't believe that. I don't believe that. James Cook is absolutely perfect for what the Buffalo Bills have him doing. He's a perfect back for the Bills. The way he runs zone, his patience after the handoff, the way he hops back behind blocks up front, spending time last week and yesterday. I just got in from Buffalo, was up there for a week, got to go to St. John Fisher on Wednesday before they played their opening preseason game in Buffalo against the Giants. Myself and John Fina spent a ton of time with that offensive line, watching Aaron Cromer and the likes teach technique. And it is obvious the style of blocking up front and the way they run outside zone. James Cook is a perfect back for what Aaron Cromer and Joe Brady and those guys want to do. His patience allows him to see the backside lanes And as you know, and we talked about it before on this show, James Cook is a back that led the league last year in weak side runs, meaning he hopped back behind blocks, got back behind things, and had big gains. But if you look at Cook's production on the field, and we talked about the 48% of the offensive snaps in 16 games, and again, I agree with Bean. Why put him out there for 75, beat him to death, shorten his career? Because if you follow James Cook, you followed his career and kind of how he does things and what he's about. James Cook wasn't the starting running back at Georgia. And this is nothing new that others have not talked about. And when you start reducing the number of snaps played in games, whether it be college or the pros, you reduce wear and tear. And you make careers longer. And running backs are a position where if you abuse them, unless you're an absolute freak like Derrick Henry, if you abuse running backs early in their career, there's a good chance they're not going to be around later in their career. It's just different than it used to be. You know, the likes of Emmitt Smith and the Thurman Thomases and those guys playing as long as they did with the number of carries that they received is an anomaly. It's something you don't really see anymore in professional football. But even with just 48% of the offensive snaps, Cook led the league with 16 touchdowns, rushing for 1,009 yards while catching 32 passes for 258 yards with 2 touchdowns. And then that led him to his second or back-to-back Pro Bowl seasons. In his career in 49 games with 29 starts, Cook has rushed for 2,638 yards with 20 touchdowns and caught 97 passes for 883 yards with 7 scores. You look at this and you think of the situation the Buffalo Bills are in. And when you look at the Bills, you start thinking like, why now? Why make this deal now? Why not wait till after the season? And it's a gamble. And you can look at both sides of the equation. But if you look at the great teams in the NFL right now, and the one that I'm going to go to more than any other is the Philadelphia Eagles, led by general manager Howie Roseman. Howie has implemented a strategy with his own players where instead of waiting and letting a guy have another amazing career number, you know, Cook might go out and have 17, 18, 20 touchdowns. Who knows? He might have 5. But the point is, it's much more detrimental to a football team to wait when you can maybe sign a guy for a little bit more now and have him wrapped up and tied up as opposed to waiting, and then he has another career season, and now you're in a situation where you are spending $15 million a year, or the flip side, you gambled correctly and they don't have quite the season. Or the other aspect of it is they've been so good you can't afford them. I really truly believe that was the situation the Buffalo Bills were in when you look at this. And I don't think that Brandon Beane and company could have waited around. James Cook is a very, very vital piece of this offense, very vital piece of this team. We have no other running back on this team that can do the things that James Cook does in the rushing game. It's just not something that can just easily be found. I know that we have been programmed by the talking heads, and I guess I could be considered a talking head, although I like to think I have a little bit different viewpoint and aspect of these things than most do. We can be, convinced by general managers or even coaches, offense coordinators, that anybody can come in and be a running back if they have ability. It's not the case. I don't believe that. I really, really don't believe that. And Chris brings up a great point. Chris Yonke, friend of the show, friend of the network. He says, hey, Jerry, now that we know James is extended, how does this change your thoughts or feelings about the signings/extensions happening on the interior offensive line? Chris, great question. Pick your poison, okay? What is easier to find? Is it easier to find a guard? Is it easier to find a center? Or is it easier to find a home run hitting running back that fits your offense perfectly that does great things when he has the football in your scheme. You know me. If you've heard me talk long enough, I am an O-line, D-line guy. I am a front seven O-line guy. That's what I'm about. Football teams win and lose games by linemen. This is a different situation. It's a complex situation. And to me, when you look at this, we had guards and stuff that have come through. We found David Edwards cheap off the free agent pile, turned him into a good player to where now, more than likely, he walks after this season. That's fine. We'll find another guard. We have guards on our team right now. We've probably got 3 guys that can compete for a starting guard spot. We have 1 to 2 that if Connor McGovern decides to move on, because if you remember, McGovern has had some comments that he has come to Buffalo already for a cheap price. He's not going to do it again. If McGovern walks, we've got a couple guys on the roster that could possibly fill in. If we don't have those, if those guys don't pan out, there's somebody else out there I think we can find. And then when you look at this thing, to me anyway, Chris, the key piece is Osiris Torrance. You got to find a way to sign him. And this is absolutely beautiful to me. This is what football is about, in my estimation. This is what building a football team is about. It is the antithesis of the ridiculousness that we see in college football nowadays, where when we have 25 scholarships, we're only going to sign 10 high school kids because we're going to go out and get 15 transfers. And while that's fine and dandy for the clear and present moment, it's not fine and dandy for the longevity and the development of your franchise or your team. And when I look at what Brandon Beane has done, and again, I saw something on Twitter today somebody put out, and excuse me, I'm regurgitating your information, and I can't remember who it was. Even with the Elam bust, that draft class could go down as the best or one of the best in the history of the franchise. And when you look at this, it's much more important to sign your own guys, the guys that you have gone ahead and developed. So if signing James Cook to me means that we lose out on Connor McGovern, will I be sad? Probably. But I think Cedric Van Paren-Granger probably can fill in pretty good. I think they can go into free agency and find somebody in the league that could probably do a good job. Because to me, Cook and Torrance are much more important than all those other pieces. And it's just one of those things where if it happens, it happens. And we'll get into cap hits in a little bit because this James Cook deal, the cap hit or his cap hit is not as great until we get to 2027. So over the next 2 years, it's a little bit light. So it's going to help the Buffalo Bills in that situation. Analyzing this whole thing, when you look at it in the end, Cook did extremely well to get the $12 million average over 4 years, which is a number that I'm okay with. I think that's a great number. I think at first we were looking at maybe 11 and a half. You get the guy for $12 million a year over 4 years. It beats the running back Kyron Williams from the Rams, who got the $11 million average over 3 years in a contract signed a couple weeks ago. Gets him by $1 million. And then also you look at this offseason, now the Bills have extended 6 cornerstone players from their team, locked up for the next 4 years. James Cook, Josh Allen, Khalil Shakir, Christian Benford, Gregory Rousseau, and Terrell Bernard. That's how you win Super Bowls. You build your core, you protect your core, and then you get complementary pieces here and there. Beane's hitting it out of the park right now. Young defensive line talent looks great. We're going to have to ride the storm a little bit early of this secondary situation until we get Hairston up to speed. You know, Cole Bishop, I still think, is a viable player, even though he's had some injury issues. He was back today. You know, so it's like when you look at these things, this is what Beane is doing is exactly what you need to do. You don't save your money. You can't save your cap money for a rainy day. The rainy day is now. The reigning MVP, okay, is into the latter parts of his career. You can't wait for another day. Another day is right now. And I believe that's what Brandon Beane is doing. And so analysts, you analyze this whole signing, it's just like we talked about with Josh Allen. And we've gotten hung up on this term. There's terms we get hung up on as fans, and it's part of it. I mean, you hear people regurgitate the same thing over and over again, and after a while, you find yourself saying the same stuff. But we've gotten into this term, this saying of cap-friendly contracts or team-friendly contract. Probably a better way of putting it. Team-friendly contract. Josh Allen signed a team-friendly contract. Khalil Shakir did. Christian Benford did. For all intents and purposes, James Cook did. But where they're getting their gratification from these quote-unquote team-friendly contracts, because like everybody eats, team-friendly contract is also a marketing ploy, okay, guys? It's a marketing ploy. They're getting paid. They're getting their money up front. And that's where I thought this thing would go and would be the breaking point of this deal, was to get him more money up front. And obviously that $30 million, hey, it's a lot of cheddar. That $30 million was the breaking point and what got them over the hump in this negotiation. Brandon Beane had a lot to say about the extension. This is the new young core that we're putting our money into, Beane said. We want to draft, develop, and re-sign. I agree wholeheartedly, 100%. This is another draft pick we're proud of, and we're excited to get extended. He's got a skill set we want to maintain in this offense. There was never a case of not wanting to extend him. Beane went on to say, once we got him back on the practice field, we really worked hard on Tuesday. I think it was roughly 11 o'clock or so last night where we were able to say both sides were good with this. Brandon Beane said, we think he can take more. When this is talking about more plays, more workload, we think he can take more, but we do want to use our other weapons. Like anything, it's that fine balance. Some of it is not him wanting out. It's us throwing as many different pieces and looks for the defense while also keeping him fresh. Finally, Beane had to say he's an explosive talent, and if you overuse them and they get wear and tear, they're not the same player. We do think he can be a third down back or a 3-down player. We're excited with where he's at. I don't think he's been overtaxed or, man, his tread on the tires is getting worn by any means. Brandon Beane is 100% on. We talked about it at the beginning of the show. And what we talked about was the fact that he was a backup at Georgia. And here's what's crazy. And Chris, you could probably go ahead and put this up in the comments. And I appreciate everybody in the comments, Bella, Andy, Chris, everybody joining in over here. Linda West. I'll just go with the last part. Maggie, Richard Rush, and everybody else. Thanks for joining. Chris, real quick, who was the starting running back at Georgia that James Cook backed up, who was also a draft pick? I can't remember his name, but I'm going to rely on you to put that up over there in a few seconds. But real quick, so here are the particulars of the deal, okay? The finer points of the contract have come out. And if you're just tuning in, this is the Big O Show on the Overreaction Buffalo Sports Network. We're presented by FanDuel, and we appreciate you joining us this evening. And thanks for joining us, as always. And here's some of the particulars that were brought out today. Per a source with knowledge of the terms. Number one, James Cook's signing bonus was $9 million. In 2025, he's got a base salary of $1.28 million, which is fully guaranteed. In 2026, he has an option bonus of $7.4 million. In 2026, he has a workout bonus of $250,000. In 2026, his base salary will be $2.01 million. He's got a 2026 per game roster bonus of $340,000. In 2027, his workout bonus again is $250,000. In 2027, base salary $9.13 million, guaranteed for injury at signing on the 5th day of the 2026 league year. A lot of wording. $6.22 million becomes fully guaranteed, with the remaining $2.91 million vesting in on the 5th day of the 2027 league year. 2027 per game roster bonus, $340,000. 2028 workout bonus of $250,000. A 2028 base salary of $9.681 million, $1.18 million of which is guaranteed for injury. 2028 per game roster bonus, $340,000. 2029 workout bonus, $250,000 again. 2029 base salary, $10.41 million. And then 2029 per game roster bonus of $340,000. For 2026, $5 million is fully guaranteed at signing. Another $4.41 million is guaranteed for injury. It converts to fully guaranteed in on February 9th, 2026. The contract includes, now this is what's weird, the contract includes a $1 million escalator for 2028. If any year from 2025 through 2027, he participates in 45% of the offensive snaps and the team makes the playoffs. So, interesting. Team looking, if he doesn't get 45%, they can withhold $1 million. And I'm sorry this is wordy, but these are all the particulars. We're still going. The contract also includes a $1 million escalator for 2029. If any 2 years from 2025 through 2028, 45% of the snaps, and the team makes the playoffs in those same 2 seasons. The new money average on the 4-year extension is $11.5 million per year, with $15.28 million fully guaranteed at signing. By 2026, the full guarantee increases to $25.91 million. The total injury guarantee is $30 million, with $28.82 million fully guaranteed by 2027. And for signing, the contract has a value of $10.254 million per year over 5 years. And Cook was due to make $5.271 million in 2025. So very, very interesting stuff for Mr. Cook. And we'll get into that in a second. But finding great candidates to hire can be like trying to find a needle in a haystack. You get too many resumes and not enough candidates with the right skills or experience. But not with ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter finds amazing candidates for you and fast. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/audio. And ZipRecruiter's smart technology identifies top talent for your roles quickly. And immediately after you post your job, ZipRecruiter's powerful marketing technology starts showing you qualified people for it. Ditch the other hiring sites and let ZipRecruiter find what you're looking for, the needle in the haystack. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try it for free at this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/audio. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/audio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. So I appreciate you letting me read that. But one of the things that's interesting about this deal were those escalators, those $1 million escalators for the playing time for 45% of the snaps. When you look at the cap hits, okay, and I hate how they do some of this wording for these contracts because it makes it seem like, oh man, it's such a deal, dude. We're getting this great deal. And really, I mean, the contract is the contract, guys. We know what he's getting. I mean, it's a big amount of money. All right. It's a very, very big amount of money. 4 years, $46 million. I mean, it's a big amount of money. No matter any way you want to look at it. But in 2025, Cook's cap hit will be $3,510,374. So that's actually a reduction of where he was at the a little over $5 million mark, 5.271. So the Bills have given themselves some breathing room there. They got a little bit over close to $2 million in cap space because they were sitting about $100,000. You redo Deion Dawkins and a few others, you can get yourselves quite a bit more because they're going to need some cap space to get guys off the practice squad, move guys over, and those types of things. They're going to have some working capital. This deal does that. In 2026, Cook's cap hit again will be $5,880,000. a little bit more than he was scheduled to make this year. So again, in 26, where the Bills got big decisions to make, Osiris Torrance, Connor McGovern, and the likes, the Bills got a little bit of cap room with this contract, something that helps them out next year when they want to try to re-sign their own. But in 2027, this is where the cap number hits big. Okay, Cook's cap number in 27, $13 million. In 28, $13,551,000. And in 29, $14,280,000. So Bills have given themselves some leeway over the last couple years, or over the next couple years, but it's one of those things where after these 2 years, you're going to eventually have to pay the piper, and that's the way it is. Chris got my answer for me. It was Zamir White. He was drafted by the Raiders in the 4th round in 2022. So appreciate that, Chris. As always, folks, you want to get in the comments, do so. And you got something up there that we like, we'll put it over there. Top paid backs in the league. So this is something that we were all vested in big time with this Cook deal. $15 million that he asked was the Derrick Henry number. If I look at top paid backs, here are your top 10 paid backs in the NFL. Number 1, Saquon Barkley, $20.6 million a year. I'd say that's well worth it. Number 2, Christian McCaffrey, $19 million a year. Has not hit. McCaffrey has a ton of injury issues. Part of me believes that San Francisco's general manager's friendship with Christian's dad might have led to that more than anything. John Lynch and McCaffrey's old man are buddies from the Broncos. But needless to say, the 49ers are sitting there with $19 million tied up into Christian McCaffrey. Derrick Henry comes in at number 3 at $15 million. Number 4 is Jonathan Taylor of the Colts at $14 million. 5th is Alvin Kamara of the Saints, $12.250 million. And then you got Josh Jacobs and James Cook coming in at $12 million each. Now on this list, they have James Cook at 12, or at 6 rather, and Josh Jacobs at 7, even though they both come in at $12 million. Kyron Williams, who we talked about earlier, of the Rams, at $11 million. Aaron Jones comes in at 9 at $10 million, and James Conner of the Arizona Cardinals, $9.5 million. And by the way, folks, if I see this on a T-shirt, what I'm about to say as we head towards the end of the Big O Show, and I appreciate you tuning in and watching as we break down James Cook's contract and give you my thoughts on it. And my thoughts, obviously, are I really like it. It's a reasonable contract for a hell of a football player that we need on this team. And if you expect us to do the things that we want to do, which is hold that trophy, James Cook needs to be a part of it. So props to Brandon Beane. Thank you, Mr. Pagula. I got to meet him Wednesday at camp. Wonderful man. I got to meet Sean McDermott and the likes. So props to everybody in that Bills organization for getting this deal done and not getting wrapped up in all the BS. I thought the other thing that Beane did really, really well was not take the bait, not get to the podium and, that hard finger-pointing stance. He let this thing play out. He let James express himself the way he felt he needed to. And when it was time to get something done, he said, look, practice and we'll get it done. And it's exactly what happened. So props to Beane, Pagula, and everybody else for getting this done. But if I see this on a T-shirt, you're going to get a phone call from me because proceeds from the sales of this saying, I want some monetary credit for. So I think it's pretty good. But I will say this when it comes to this deal. If everybody eats is going to work, you better have a great cook. And this is what I mean by that saying. The Buffalo Bills, if they're going to play this everybody eats mentality with a bunch of receivers that are good, some of them are above average, none of them are elite yet. If we're going to give the ball all over the place and we're going to construct our offense the way that we have, because honestly, the way we have our wide receiver room built probably fits Josh Allen better than just having the 1 or 2 elite guys. We've done that, and over time it's fizzled. But if everybody eats is going to work, you better have James Cook to run that football. This football team is going to win a championship for two things, two reasons. And we're not talking about Josh, because the way we always talk on this network, Josh Allen's the unwritten thing. That's an understood thing. That's expected. We don't bring Josh in the equation because we don't know that he is the equation. But to complement him, they've got to get this defense better and play better defense, which they are desperately trying to do. And I believe watching them at camp and looking at the overall, this is both sides of the ball, the overall length, the overall athletic ability, the overall speed and bend of this team, they've got a chance. This is a number one seed team when I watch them. Is it a number one seed team without James Cook? I'm not so sure. But when I saw them on Wednesday, I was so impressed with the way they look athletically, build-wise, length, all those things, bend. And I do believe that in the preseason, folks, fill up the comment sections. You're going to be frustrated. I don't see us running a bunch of 5- and 6-man attacking pressures in the preseason to show the Ravens what we're going to do. But I think eventually that's what this defense will be. They're going to be downhill. They're going to attack within their base principles. So they're still going to base out of the 4-2-5, but they're going to change, I think, their mentality of how they play and go try to force the issue, to add big plays behind the line of scrimmage to go with the leading turnover ratio in the NFL like they had last year. Okay? But if this team wants to do what they want to do, they've got to run the football. They got to run the football. They got to control the clock. They got to do those things. If everybody eats is going to work. Everybody eats does not work if there is no running game. Everybody eats does not work if nobody in the backfield is a threat except for 17. That's why it was so important to sign James Cook and get him tied up for a number of years, because this football team has to keep that edge up front. They've got to keep that nastiness. They got to be downhill, and that's going to set up everybody else to where the receivers we have and the tight ends we have can eat. So if everybody eats is going to work, you better have a great cook. And Brandon Bead made sure this morning the Buffalo Bills have a great cook for 4 more years. So I appreciate you watching the show. Thank you very much. We'll be back next Wednesday with more here on the Big O Show on the Overreaction Buffalo Sports Network, presented by FanDuel. And check out our other shows on Sunday night, Monday, John Fina, Tuesday on the beat. I'll be on Wednesday. We're adding a show on Thursday here real soon. And I'll give you a little bit of a teaser. It revolves around something that has become prevalent in the world of sports over the last few years. And that show will be centered around that. So we'll announce that show soon when we get it finalized. But again, folks, thanks for joining. Thanks for commenting and everything. Appreciate you guys as always. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Much love, folks. Go Bills.
I'm still the same.